Yes, yes, yes. 2 days. 2 days till draft day. There is not too much more than I like than the NFL draft. Not too many things I like more than NFL. Perry, I am fantastic. We are about 48 hours away from draft day. By the way, I messed up when I set up the stream. I put down Central Time instead of Pacific Time, so I didn't realize I made the mistake. So if you're now just tuning in the correct time, I'm thankful because I messed up. I dropped the ball here, and I just chose the wrong time. So error on my part. I'm sorry about that, but I am just. I cannot tell you how excited I am. I love the NFL draft. I love everything about it. So 2 days. I want my picks back in Dave pudding. Oh man. I am going to do a live mock draft. I have 5 trades in the first round, and there could be more. But I'm mocking 5. Some of these I've mocked quite a bit. Some of these I haven't. Some players I have fallen really far in this draft. Perry, you're not going to like that. You'll see. The Draft Day movie. I've never seen it, man. I've never seen it. Let me just get rid of this for a second here. The live stream for the draft show, I'm going to release later tonight. Gooch from the Backtalk Brothers says he's going to join. I've reached out to a few other people. Luke G will actually be at the draft, which I'm really excited about. I'm hopeful I can get some commentary from him. Figure out what it's like. Because when the draft was in Kansas City, I had no interest in going. Of course, I was doing the draft live. But I am interested to hear how it goes, especially because we'll see what happens. But I don't really want to reveal too much about my draft. I kind of want to go in order of the draft picks. But the draft live stream, I will be for the whole first round. Luke is streaming tonight. Awesome. I love Luke G. And the reason why we weren't able to do things is because the move to Vegas has been brutal. It's been tough on me. So, hey, bud, I'll have to listen back tomorrow. Have a good show. Hey, Funk, man, thanks for tuning in. Please tune in for the draft. Please tune in for the draft show. I'll have the live stream up in a few hours, actually. I'll have it up later tonight. And I'll try to send out some notifications to those of you who follow me on social media. But the draft show is going to be great. I know for a fact Gooch will be there. I don't know who else is going to be there, who's not going to be there. I sent a few invites. Before I start, though, I do want to do one thing. A special shout out to Keaton Talk Sports. He released his final mock draft video, gave me a shout out, and I could not be happier. It was an honor. And his mock draft, not as good as mine, but still really good. Raven, 6 more, be more. Salute. 2 days away. I really hope that you can stay and listen to what I have the Baltimore Ravens doing in this draft. Because after I went through everything, I'm like, are you sure this is right? And it probably isn't, but we'll see what happens. Before I go see the Lions moving up and taking either Arnold and Mitchell, like with everyone else gets the first, the Lions will do what they did with J-Mob and San Antonio. Yep. Man, I hope you listen in later on, and I hope that you can join me in 2 days. I really want to hear from you because I got the Ravens doing something. Actually, my draft is a little crazy. This mock draft is a little crazy. I definitely want to hear from you. Yeah. You know what? Let's get into it. Let's go. All right. So here is the drill. By the way, let me do this here. Let me move this over. By the way, for following me on Instagram, the comments, did I just break Instagram? All right, bear with me here. I'm having some technical difficulties. Okay. So, what the hell? All right, I'm sorry. I'm having some technical difficulties here with Instagram. All right, hold on just 1 second, guys. Okay, there it is. Okay. So if you put a comment on Instagram, I'll try to keep going back and forth, but I won't be able to see your comments, okay? By the way, you'll see where it is, but I have to do a 2-round mock draft. You'll see why in a second, because if you don't have a first-round pick and you trade back into the first round, it won't go through unless you do first and second round pick, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. Here, we are going to go ahead and kick off the draft. I'm going to level with you. Picks 1, Caleb Williams going to Chicago, Jaden Daniels at number 2 to Washington. I'm not going to go over that. The draft starts at 3. And this is where I struggled because I went back and forth. I went with New England going from 3 to 5. I went with New England going from 3 to 11. And I really was getting ready to do a 3-5 switch. You get a bunch of draft picks from Minnesota, and I think Minnesota will give you a minimum of 11-23, any first-round pick next year. And I think that's the minimum. It could be more. It could be a first and a third next year. It could be a first and a second next year and a first and a third in 2026. How did the Chiefs win back-to-back Super Bowls, trading away Tyreek Hill, getting a bunch of draft picks? The Dallas Cowboys famously built their dynasty through draft picks, and that's something New England's going to consider. Here's the problem I have, and I was really planning on doing a 3-5 flip. A 3-5 flip. They would trade, and then, by the way, the Arizona Cardinals did that last year. They went from 3 to 12, back up to 6. I was planning to have New England do that, but I kept on coming back to the same conclusion. Drake May can do everything McCarthy can do. McCarthy can't do everything May can do. And that's the problem. You know what? I'm sorry. I forgot something here. I meant to do this, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to say the same thing before I start the draft show. I'm looking at a trade either tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday between the Baltimore Ravens and the New York Giants. Evan Neal, the 7th overall pick in the draft. In free agency, the Giants grabbed Jermaine. I'm going to butcher the last name, Alamunar, and I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering that. Signed him to a 2-year deal. Now, he's been in the NFL for a while, but he's always been a swing tackle. When he got inputted as the Raiders starting right tackle, he was dominant. So the Giants stole him, gave him a 2-year deal. They also signed 2 guards in free agency. So I think they want to move on from Evan Neal. The Ravens traded Morgan Moses to the Jets for a 4th-round pick. They have a hole at right tackle. You know you love Alabama players, and Evan Neal has ability. So I really expect a trade between the Ravens and the Giants for Evan Neal. And I think you're looking at Isaiah Likely, the tight end from Coastal. He was former receiver at Coastal, or Nelson Aguilar, or Rashad Bateman. But I think we're going to see a flip. So I apologize. I meant to start off the show with that, but I got it all jacked up. I can see the Ravens trading up off the. I'm going to go over that. Yeah, so I think, okay, this is great because I really think that Rashad Bateman could be traded to the Giants for Evan Neal straight up. And it would be a great move for both teams. Evan Neal would compete for the starting, and he would win. And you know as much as I do how much The Ravens love Bama players. And this is a guy who probably just needs to change the pace. By the way, the Ravens power running scheme that they have now, that's better suited for what they want to do in New York with Evan Neal, who hasn't panned out. So Rashad Bateman to Evan Neal would make a lot of sense. Homeland, what's up, brother? Man, you tuned in at the right time. I'm talking about your New England Patriots. God, it's good to see you. I hope you're able to make it draft day. I will be live for the whole thing. Rumors are, yes. And I'm going to go over that where I think the Eagles could trade up to. I got Corey, a.k.a. the Red Sea. You're just in time. I hope that you're able to join me draft night. I am getting ready to go over New England and Arizona's pick. Do you think the Vikings will give up? I think they're going to try to. And this is what I think that they're going to do. I really think that they're going to try and trade up for Drake May. But ultimately, and this is the hardest thing I've been trying to do, is that does New England trade the farm? Does New England get all those draft picks from Minnesota and use that draft capital to get to build up this team? Here's the thing with the New England Patriots. I don't agree with a lot of people. I think New England can win now, but they need three things, and they need them in this order. They need a quarterback, they need a left tackle, and they need help at receiver. Okay? The defense is set. I think you take Drake May. You pick again at 34. You may be able to move up in the first round, get yourself a left tackle, or you take a left tackle at 34. You'll see what I have them doing because I'm going to do round 2. So you'll get to see what I do. By the way, the second round, I'm kind of zipping through. So, yeah, it would be a great move by the Ravens to get Evan Neal. I would actually give up quite a bit. Remember, Evan Neal was 7th overall pick in the draft. He would be the starting right tackle. And I actually do think that he's good enough. If Ronnie Stanley can't stay healthy, I actually think you move him over to the left side and he could be a left tackle. Sometimes players just need a change of scenery. But Evan Neal's talented enough. It makes a lot of sense. But I have Drake May as the pick at 3. I don't like any of the quarterback people who want 8 in the first round. Pat should just draft Joe Alt. I've toyed around with that too because they need a left tackle. But I think that they're going to go quarterback, left tackle, receiver. You'll see what I have them doing because I am going to zip through round 2. I'm going to zip through round 2 really fast though because I have to do 2 rounds, and you'll see why here in a second. Arizona, they're going to go wide receiver, whoever's their number 1 receiver. I have Marvin Harrison Jr., but if they think it's Neighbors, if they think it's Oduze, I have no problem with it. I'll be honest with you. I would strongly consider Oduze here, but I've been mocking the same thing over and over again. New England needs a quarterback. Marvin Harrison Jr., Arizona. No team needs a number 1 wide receiver more than Arizona, so that's what I have them doing. Here's where Minnesota makes their move here. And by the way, this is the bare minimum here. I think the Chargers are going to go ahead and give up 5. Minnesota is going to give up a bare minimum. Okay, there it is. 6 trades in the first round. I forgot to mark this one down. So, as you see here, it's too much because they're using the Rich Hill trade chart. By the way, the Rich Hill trade chart would have this being 11 is 358, 23 is 245. I didn't write this down, so I have to spitball this. So it's a 693. So 693 for pick number 5, which is only 468. All right. I really think that there's a good chance the Chargers get more, but this is bare minimum. Okay. So this is bare minimum. They make the move. McCarthy's the consolation prize. And here's what I think Minnesota's going to do. Number 1 is they want Drake May. Number 2 is McCarthy. If they can't make a good trade here, they'll go with option 3, which will be Michael Penix Jr. And they'll take him at 11. I'm going to be honest with you. If I was Minnesota, I would take Penix at 11. I like Penix more than I like McCarthy. I got the Chargers getting Brock Bowers from. I wouldn't hate that either. But I'll explain what I have the Chargers doing once their pick comes around. But this is the move I have. Do you think Dallas Turner have the day one impact? So the Rich Hill, I'm using the Rich Hill trade chart for the first time ever. I like the Jimmy Johnson trade chart better, but I'm using the Rich Hill chart, which I think more and more teams are using. So that's just my opinion. I like the Jimmy Johnson one better, and I'm used to it. By the way, Perry, this is exactly what I would do. I would take Penix at 11. I would not try to trade up, but I think that this is what you don't make a move like what they did in just stand pat. I think that they're going to go ahead and trade up, and they're going to go ahead and get their quarterback. So JJ McCarthy would be the pick here at 5 for Minnesota. Whoever's your highest rated wide receiver is going to be the pick. I've been mocking Neighbors to the Giants since day one. You need a receiver here. So that's kind of been my pick here for the Giants. So Giants here, Neighbors. My last draft, I did Oduze to the Titans because, by the way, the mock draft database simulator, I don't agree with all of these ratings, but I am going to use some of these. I'll go into some detail later on because there's a few picks that don't match up to the player value. So if you pay more for an impact player or quarterback, yeah, exactly. And that's why the Vikings are going to overpay. My number one wide receiver is Oduze. I like the size. I like the fact that he watched the game against Washington State, where it was pouring down rain, and they didn't throw the ball as much as they normally do due to weather conditions, but they kept on throwing it to Oduze. He didn't drop a pass in pouring down rain. You have to play in adverse conditions. I like his size. I like his blocking ability. Marvin Harrison Jr. in the game against Penn State, the very first drive of the game. By the way, Penn State was, at the time, they were ranked 8th. They shouldn't have been ranked 8th, but it's here or there. Ohio State, I think, was 3rd. Penn State was ranked 8th. They're both undefeated. The first drive of the game, Marvin Harrison has 3 catches, 40-some yards. Penn State's one of the best defenses in the country. They couldn't stop him. He takes himself out of the game. First drive of the game, he takes himself out for a break, and it just rubbed me the wrong way. He just doesn't seem to have that, like, that dog in him, like a Steve Smith had, like a Michael Irvin had. That just he just had this passiveness that just rubs me the wrong way. When he took himself out, I mean, this is the first drive of the fucking game. It just drove me the wrong way. This year's wide receiver, yeah, there's a lot of really good receivers. It's funny. Most people have Oduze, Neighbors, and Harrison 1, 2, 3, and most people have Harrison at 1. I personally think that number 4, you could put 10 different guys there. But Keon Coleman, you'll see where I have him going because I'm going to do 2 rounds. Do you think Harrison Jr. could fall better 8 or 10 overall? He could. I think he's going to go to Arizona. I really think that the Arizona Cardinals are going to just pick him. I really think Rome Odunze could be the pick here. And I've been saying this over and over again. Callahan was with the Bengals when they took Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell, and he went to a Super Bowl that year. Rome Odunze is the higher-rated prospect, but I'm going to go with Joe Alt here. They don't have a left tackle, but they do have receivers. So I went back and forth, but I'm going to go with Joe Alt here. I've been mocking the same thing, but I was tempted to do Leatu Latu, who's been getting a lot of hype, But here's the drill. Dallas Turner doesn't have the injury issue. Latu does. Dallas Turner might be better than Will Anderson because he's going to go to a defense that's going to have him play outside linebacker. Will Anderson played outside linebacker in college, played defensive end in the pros. And so you take a guy with basically the same talent, same skill set, but you're switching in positions. You're not asking Dallas Turner to switch positions. So I think Dallas Turner might be Defensive Rookie of the Year. He'll have a massive impact day one. This is the biggest issue of the Atlanta Falcons, getting after the quarterback. Could you go Latu? You could. I saw a mock draft where the Falcons took Latu instead. I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. But look, you're right in the heart of SEC country. All the accounts were that everything checks with this guy. Where Latu, you have the red flags medically. I think Thomas Jr. is the number one wide receiver in the draft. I love Leggett, by the way, and I'm going to go over that in some detail. Where I got Thomas Jr. going, I really want to get your opinion because it's a little different than most. So hang on. Dallas Turner is going to be the pick here. Now we have a trade. I have the Cincinnati Bengals trading up. They're going to give up picks number 18 and 49, and they're in Chicago in return is going to pick number 9. Now I want to go over this. Now the Rich Hill trade chart has the Bengals overpaying by an 18-point difference, and the 18-point difference would be between picks 130 and 131, a fourth-round draft pick, but they're overpaying for a reason. Chicago wants to trade down because they have multiple holes, but they only have 3 draft picks. Take a look. They have 9, 75, and 122. Now, I think Chicago really needs help in the interior, not the tackles. Now, if they don't feel that way, then you go ahead and you take a tackle here. But I think that they have problems at guard. You get one later in the draft. You don't get one right here. The Bengals are going to move up because, look, I already talked about this. Rome Odunze. Look, you have the issue with T. Higgins. He's on that one-year deal. Jamar Chase, his contract's going to come up. It makes a lot of sense, right? Wrong. I'm going Brock Bowers as the pick. I've never picked Bowers in the top 10 in any one of my drafts. Here's the drill. Look at the NFC Conference Championship game last year. You have Sam Laporta and you have George Kittle. Let's flip over to the AFC. You got Mark Andrews and Taylor Swift's boyfriend. You have to have a great tight end. This is why. The best tight end in football is making about half of what the best wide receiver is going to make. It's an economic decision. You go with Bowers, and maybe you can get Higgins and Chase and get all 3 of them together. Even if you can't sign Higgins, it doesn't matter. You can get a receiver later in the draft. Remember, the Bengals have plenty of draft capital. You go ahead and you grab Bowers. The Bears get it. Brandon Coleman, offensive guard. You are correct. You are correct. You are correct. Taylor Swift boyfriend. I know. I'm glad somebody liked it. I'm glad somebody liked it. The Jets are on the clock. I've been mocking tackle because you have the oldest tackle duo in football. I think you got to protect them. You don't pick again until 72, but Rome Odunze is just too good. By the way, Rome Odunze is too good to pass up for the Jets. And I think around October or November, he becomes the number 1 receiver. By the way, that you also, by doing this, you can play hardball with Garrett Wilson. You don't have to re-sign Mike Williams, but you gotta get some more tackle help. You may not want to wait all the way into round 3. You may have to trade up. You may have to make a move in free agency. You might have to do something, but bottom line, Rome Odunze is too good to pass up. I was toying around with a 10-7 trade and having the Jets go to 7 in order to trade up. But if I'm Tennessee, the reason why I don't make that trade is I just want to get my guy now. I just want to get my guy now. They don't have a third round pick, but I could see a Tennessee Jets trade. I almost mocked it, but I think Tennessee says, you know what? I don't want to risk losing Alt. Keep in mind, if you have an even grade on tackles, if the Titans have even grades on tackles, they may take a Duze, or they may pass on Alt, jump down to 10 because maybe they think that Olufasanu or somebody else is better. I have another curveball in the draft here, and I don't like doing this, but this is the exception. I'm going to go J.C. Latham, and I'm going to tell you why I'm going Latham here. The Chargers have always had talent, but they don't have winners. The coaching wasn't there. So they think they got to coach with Harbaugh. Now, Harbaugh wants to change the philosophy and have this be more of a smash mouth team, where in the past they've been a finesse team. What you need smash mouth players from schools that know how to win. You need well-coached players. I know Alabama tackles Alex Leatherwood, Evan Neal. They have flamed out. Harbaugh's not going to care. But here's what he does care about. Watch Alabama play against Michigan in the national championship game. J.C. Latham looked really good. And Alabama was able to run the ball. And that's something that they're going to do. You have to change the culture if you're Jim Harbaugh. So you have to get big, you have to get physical, you have to get well coached, and you have to get winners. And this is different. I don't like saying, hey, we have to draft players from winning programs. I don't like doing that. The Chargers are the exception because the Chargers have always had talent, but they haven't been able to win. That's why J.C. Latham makes sense for me at 11 rather than some of these other guys who are rated higher on the board. But I'll go over that here in a second. O-line is deep between round or 3, Zach Miller, Ogard, University of Michigan, or the offensive. Yeah. And by the way, if you Google top 10 offensive tackles, you're going to get different answers all across the board. Trade, Perry asked you, no, absolutely not, because they don't have a second round pick and they have a lot of holes that they have to fix. You have an offensive minded coach, but we'll pay attention here because I got Seattle getting a little creative in this draft. So will they draft offensive line? Yes. Tackle? No, because they have bookend tackles that are actually pretty good. The interior needs some help though, but they don't have the draft capital to trade up, unfortunately. If they did, I could see them at 16 taking a guard, but you'll see what I have the Seahawks doing here in just a bit. This is, you may have heard tank. You remember about 5 years ago, it was tank for Tua. Teams want to tank to get better draft picks. Well, here is where having the better draft pick doesn't help, because the Raiders at 13 can get your guy. So bottom line, spoiler alert, I have the Raiders trading down. If the Raiders were picking at 12 and Denver was picking at 13, the Raiders would take their quarterback and Denver at 13 could trade down. But because you pick right in front of the Raiders, you got to get your guy now. I love the Zach Wilson trade, by the way, but I don't think he fits with the offense. And I also think that Sean Payton would be better suited getting a veteran, but he's not able to do that. So here's what you do. You have Zach Wilson. I firmly believe that they brought Zach Wilson on and they told him, listen, you're not going to start. We don't care how you look. You need to help get this guy ready to be the starter, and the guy's going to be Bo Nix. I already said it, but we got to trade. The Raiders are going to trade down. They have multiple holes that they need to fix. The Rams are a likely trade candidate. I got the Rams going 19 and 83. Now, this trade using the Red Chill chart gives the Raiders are going to lose 6 points. 6 points, a 6th-round pick. It's not that big of a deal. Could you maybe, if you're the Raiders, fight and get one of these multiple 6th-round draft picks? Yeah, you can, but I really don't think they do, because the Raiders really need to trade down. They have multiple holes that they have to fill. They lost their starting right tackle. They don't have a quarterback. They need help at corner. I would draft a defensive lineman or two. So there's multiple holes. Getting an extra third-round draft pick will really help. And the Rams have two. The Rams haven't drafted in the first round in like 50 years. So I think that they're going to make a move, whether it's up or down. I think drafting a defensive tackle would be the wrong move because you don't want to come in and say, hey, you're the Aaron Donald replacement. But they did lose Leonard Floyd in free agency. Here you go with the local kid, Leatu Latu. And if he's as good as everybody thinks he could be, then you got something special. So a lot of media think Peyton can turn around Wilson. By the way, this is a brilliant move because the Jets are just throwing him away. Okay. He has ability, but I really think that Sean Payton, when he signed him, just brought him in and said, listen, you went through some rough times. You're going to help our rookie quarterback navigate those waters. And if you do a good job, we're going to, by the way, Sean Payton's widely respected in NFL circles. So if a team calls Sean Payton and says, hey man, Zach Wilson, should we grab him? Because Zach Wilson's just on that 1 year deal, if I'm correct. Should we sign Zach Wilson? What's he like? If Sean Payton's like, hey, this guy's no, just you don't want him. We don't want him. You don't want him. That could kill his career. But if you're Zach Wilson, listen, Jameis Winston has all the ability to be a starter. Is there a reason why Sean Payton didn't call Jameis Winston? By the way, Jameis Winston started several games for him and looked pretty good. Why didn't he give him a call? There's a reason for that. There's a reason why Jameis Winston's in Cleveland and not in Denver. So Sean Payton's opinion probably matters. By the way, Jameis Winston, he could play for another 10 years as backup quarterback. Being a backup quarterback is a great job. By the way, quarterbacks get hurt all the time. So Zach Wilson's not brought in to be the starter. But can Sean Payton turn around? I don't think he's the guy. I really don't. I've been mocking the same thing, and it's really kind of your flavor here. You could go Fuega. You can go Fasanu, you can go Mims, you can go Guyton, you can go a bunch of guys, but I've been mocking Fatanu. When Pete Carmichael, who was with Sean Payton a long time with the Saints, he's gone. So Dennis Allen, when he took over, he kept Pete Carmichael, didn't mess around with the offense. Now he wants to mess around with the offense. Now, I talked earlier about Evan Neal moving in the draft. You have Trevor Penning, first-round pick from 2 years ago. He's been a disaster. Can you convince Trevor Penning with the new offensive coordinator, hey, listen, we need you, get on board? You could also move on from him. By the way, this is a guy with a lot of ability that you could probably get rid of. I'm looking at Kansas City would be the perfect spot for Trevor Penning. A guy who's got a lot of ability, maybe needs a new home. Trevor Penning, you could maybe get him in Kansas City for a 4th-round draft pick. And I'll be honest, I think maybe 4 might be too much. You may be able to get him for a 5th. The thing is, the reason why I didn't say 5th is because Saints have 4 5th-round draft picks. You have multiple holes on this offensive line, so maybe Penning is gone. Now, what I like about Fatano here is that if you do it and you take Fatano, Penning gets on board, Fatano plays guard, and then he moves over to left tackle, or you can move him over to right tackle. You can do a variety of different things here, but I like Fatanu. You're going to be more of a running smash mouth type of team. So could you go Fuega? You can go Fuega. You can go Mims. You can go a lot of different directions. I just like Fatanu. I got Keaton Talk Sports in the house. Welcome, Keaton. By the way, Keaton gave me a shout out in this video. I can't thank you enough. I was really honored. It was a big thrill. It was kind of funny. I was talking to Denver Gator, and he's like, yeah, when you joke around with him, he doesn't know. I don't know if he gets your sense of humor or not. And I hope you do, because it's just a lot of love. I'm not even going to play around when you mentioned me in your latest mock draft video. It meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to me. He also said that his video, his mock draft was not as good as mine. So that's a lie. But he did mention me at the very end of the video, and it meant a lot. So Keaton, by the way, Keaton Talk Sports will be going live for the draft. If you don't want to do the whole first round, Keaton, please come on. You're welcome on my show as well. And I really hope that you come on a lot more. You're fantastic, and big fan of you, and a big fan of your show, and a big fan of your content. And I'm honored, really honored that you gave me a shout out at the end of your mock draft video, which was fantastic. I loved your mock draft, by the way. Loved it. Mims is too much a risk. You'll see where I have him going. You'll see where I have him going. I've been mocking the same thing for the Colts here. I think you got to take the best corner available. If you think it's Terrion Arnold, you take Arnold. I got Quentin Mitchell. That's just my opinion. I've been mocking this all the time. Here, Seattle at 16. I've been mocking this quite a bit. I think Seattle trades down. They need draft picks. They need capital. Green Bay, by the way, has fallen head over heels in love with Tyler Guyton. I'm mocking 25 and 58. By the way, if you're using a Rich Hill chart, this is 323 points. Pick number 16 is 305. So the remaining 18 points is the same thing with the Chicago-Cincinnati trade. It's a fourth round draft pick, but you overpay for them because if you pay attention, you still have a second round pick and you have 2 third round picks. As you see here, Seattle doesn't have a second round pick, and you'll see what I have Seattle doing later on here. I'm going to go over this in a little more detail, but you make this trade here. The reason why I do this, and this is another thing, this is personal preference, okay? This chart, I don't believe this chart to be completely accurate. Tyler Guyton went up to Green Bay, and for all accounts, as just killed it. And there's some talk that Tyler Guyton's just skyrocketing up through draft boards. If you like Fasanu better, you take Fasanu. You like Fuega better, you take Fuega. I'm going Tyler Guyton because he visited up with Green Bay about 2 weeks ago. By all accounts, he killed it. The upside with Guyton is higher, really, to tell you the truth, than anybody in this draft. I think Guyton could be a star. So that's my pick here. Would a weapon be better for the Colts? I don't think so because matter of fact, let me do this here real fast here because I'm going to draw a blank. I'm drawing a blank on their names. So here's a drill with the Colts. Jonathan Taylor may be the best running back in football. Maybe the best running back in football. They gave him that big deal after he held out. They signed Michael Pittman Jr. He's just scratching the surface. Really talented. Remember, he came in the draft, he was only 20. Really young guy, getting better and better and better. Alex Pierce, I wasn't as high on him, but he's shown some flashes. They used a second-round pick on Josh Downs last year. And then tight end, Jelani Woods was a third-round pick. They overdrafted for him. Tons of ability, 6'7", 260, ran a 4.6, former basketball player. He's just growing in. Mo Ali Cox, former basketball player, just growing into his talent. They got weapons. They need some help on the defensive side of the ball. They really need some help on the defensive side of the ball. I like Patrick. I do too. I know 2 draft. Fasanu falling that far is crazy. I know. Hang on. Jacksonville at 17, you get a new defensive coordinator. You have problems in the secondary. You got 3 good young quarterbacks that you're going against. You got C.J. Stroud. You got Denver Gators boy Will Levis. And then you got Anthony Richardson. You need help in the secondary. You get a new coach, Terrion Arnold. Terrion Arnold's got to be the pick. And we have another trade. Chicago, again, I keep repeating this. They need help in the interior, not the exterior. But the Washington Commanders, after seeing Fasanu falling this far, they are going overboard. They are going to go ahead and make the move here. They are going to give up 36 and 40. By the way, if you use the Rich Hill trade chart, this is 315 points. Pick number 18 is 287. The remaining 28 points is a high fourth-round draft pick. Washington does not care. They are going to trade up for this, and they are going to take Olu Fasanu, the local kid, starter for the left tackle. In this mock draft, Fasanu falls all the way to 18. It's crazy. Washington takes advantage of it, drafts the local kid. I'm good. Glad Dan is streaming tonight. You're going to have a live. Oh, yes. I am going live for the entire first round. And then Tuesday, I'm going to come out and give you my grades. I have a whole system of how I do this. And Tuesday would be my grades, but Thursday, the entire first round, actually before and after a little bit, I'm going to be on for quite a bit. But yeah, he falls all the way to 18. And here's the deal. If you Google top 10 offensive tackles in the draft, you're going to get 10 completely different lists. I'm guessing on which teams like players better. There's a lot of people, by the way, that thinks Fuega is a top 10 player. Matter of fact, when I first started doing this, Fuega was 11. I don't know why he's 17 now. So everybody has a different flavor. In this draft, Fastenau falls all the way to Washington, day one starter. He's from the D.C. area, so this is a dream scenario for the Commanders. The Raiders now at 19 take Michael Penix Jr. You could go tackle. You got to hold it right tackle. You need help getting another defensive end. You need some help in the secondary, but you don't have a quarterback. Look, I love Gardner Minshew. He's not the answer long term. Take Michael Penix Jr. This is ticky-tacky. If you draft him at 13, you're going to be pushed to start him because you took him at 13. You're going to say, Dan, there's not a difference between 13 and 19. There is a difference because you take him in the bottom half of the first round. So you're going to go ahead and alleviate some of that pressure. Absolutely. Patrick Paul's getting a lot of hype. And I'm going to go over that here in a little bit. I don't know why I'm drinking coffee. It's like 90 something outside, but I had 2 energy drinks and earlier kind of, so Patrick Paul is skyrocketing up draft boards. That pick for 16 for Tyler Guyton, it could be for Patrick Paul. It really could. Pittsburgh at 20, I've been mocking the same guy, Jackson Powers Johnson, day one starter offensive line. Makes a lot of sense. By the way, if you like Graham Bertrand better or Zach Frazier, you can go there, but I don't. I personally think that it's Jackson Powers Johnson. I've been mocking that for a long time. Pick number 21, we have our final trade of the first round. Spoiler alert. The Miami Dolphins are going to make a trade with the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are going to give up picks 1 and 73. The Rich Hill trade chart has pick number 29 at 202, pick number 73 at 65, pick number 21 to 261. So Detroit is giving up 6 points, which is a 6th round pick. They're more than happy to do so because Jared Verse is just a guy I think Dan Campbell and Lions fans are going to absolutely love. You put him opposite Aiden Hutchinson. He's a different type of dude, but he has a lot of intensity, very high motor. You get a guy who could be potentially the best pass rusher in the draft. I like Latu and Turner better. Look, one of these teams could easily take them. So that's why you go ahead and you grab them now if you're Detroit. And if you're Miami, you need some draft picks. I've been mocking the same player, Nate Wiggins to Philly, for a long time. Out of all the corners in the draft, which one's best prepared to play day one in Vic Fangio defense? It's Nate Wiggins. So what I would do is I actually toyed around with them trading up to 16 to leapfrog Jacksonville, but I think Jacksonville's going to go with Arnold, not Wiggins. So that's why I didn't mock that trade, but I was tempted for Philly to jump up and make that 216 trade. Keep in mind, Philly doesn't have a 3rd round pick. They have 2 second-round picks. I could see them getting very creative in this draft, but here they just stand pat. But Philly could jump up. By the way, if they love one of those guys, could they jump up and give up one or two of their second-round picks? Absolutely. I'm not sure if the Lions brought him in for a visit. I think it was Funk was telling me that they didn't bring in Laporta or Jahmyr Gibbs. So I don't know either. When I look at Detroit, they've been trading up every year, and they got some defensive tackles. They added to the secondary. They added to the linebacking unit, but they don't have somebody opposite Aiden Hutchinson. Jared Verse, I think, would be a great fit. Great fit. Speaking of great fit, a lot of people think receiver is the biggest. I can see Philly. I don't think they need an edge rusher. Remember, they signed Bryce Hall from the Jets. They got Josh Sweat. They have Nolan Smith was the first round pick last year. So I absolutely don't see Philly trading up for Verse because they got Nolan Smith last year at 30. Nolan Smith's a better prospect than Verse, and he just sat on the bench last year. So I definitely don't see them doing that. But they don't have a corner. And spoiler alert, Philly may be doing something else with the secondary. You'll see here in just a little bit. A lot of people think that receiver is the big thing for the Chargers. I don't think so. The bigger hole is that linebacker. And what did I say? Big physical winner. Junior Colson won the national championship. What was it, like the Ronnie Lott Award given to the best defensive player in the country? Colson won that. You should hear his story. He's a leader. He's physical. He's tough. He's a 3-down linebacker. What do you need if you're the Chargers? Big, physical, well-coached, winning program? That's why you get J.C. Latham early, and then you go ahead and you reach. And this is a reach because Colson should go in round 2. You go ahead and you reach for him. But they need help at linebacker more than they need help at receiver. Quentin Johnston was a first-round pick last year. Very talented player, massive upside. They also got the 7th-round pick from TCU, the speedster, was returning punts and kicks. He could have a bigger role in the offense this year. Joshua Palmer, 3rd-round pick 2 years ago, talented guy. As a rookie, led the team in receptions and yards. They have a hole at linebacker. They have a massive hole at linebacker. So Junior Colson comes in, day 1 starter, big, tough, physical, well-coached winner. All things Harbaugh loves. Harbaugh may like Johnson. I was tempted to Johnson. Why am I drawing a blank on who you're talking about? Johnson. Oh, Johnston to receive. Harbaugh's. Listen, this is my number 1 wide receiver last year. I loved Quentin Johnston. I thought it was a bad fit. I really thought that the Chargers should have took Brian Branch. I thought that was a no-brainer. I thought that was the lowest Brian Branch would be to the Chargers. But the Chargers have a whole linebacker. Oh, might not like John. He might not, but he's talented. He's extremely talented. But he may not. He may not. All right. I'm going to go with kind of a curveball here. If you like Barton more, you do that. Zach Frazier, I just got a feeling day 1 starter at center, just a hunch. After hoping you could sneak in Junior Colson, you pass. Look, Seattle lost their top 3 linebackers in free agency. Mike McDonald built that defense around linebackers. Adrian Cooper, I got a 2nd-round grade on him. Patrick Wilson, I want to pay attention here because of medical issues, he's going to fall in the draft. He might even fall all the way to 81. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe you double dip, go Cooper at 25, Peyton Wilson at 58. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Peyton Wilson's a guy that I think some team's going to draft in the 3rd round, and if he stays healthy, he'll go to a Pro Bowl as a rookie. They'll call it one of the greatest draft picks of all time. Got hurt in college, got hurt in high school. That keeps you out of round 1. Adrian Cooper, day 1 starter, tone setter for what you really need some help if you're Seattle on defense. You're a defensive-minded coach. You got some extra draft picks. You got your linebacker. This is a guess here because I like Graham Bartram here, but in this mock draft, Talise Fuega is free falling. He could play right tackles, what he played in college. Most teams think he could play inside. They move Wirfs from the right side to the left side. Look, fifth, I don't always agree with this, but a lot of people think that Fuego is one of the best offensive linemen in the draft. If I'm Tampa Bay, I find a home for him here. You could go Chop Robinson. You could go Graham Bartram. I think you go Fuego and just find a home for him either at right tackle or move him inside. Could you go Graham Bartram if you like him at center? You could. Just a hunch. He's big. He's physical. I think that you just take the talented player. So that's just my hunch here. Arizona, I could see them doing a couple different things here, but I'm going to go with kind of a dark horse here. I'm going to go Graham Bartram here. And the reason why is that you have 7 picks in 104 draft spots. You own pick 104, but you have 3 third-round picks, and you also look at all these draft picks that you have. Fix the offense first and then use the rest of this draft on defense. So I'm going to go Graham Bartram, fix up the interior, and then there's a lot of really good players that are free falling this draft. After these 2 picks, then you just go ahead and you fix up the defense. I really want to pick Brian Thomas Jr. here for Buffalo. I really want to pick Brian Thomas Jr. here for Buffalo, and the Bills need it. They need help at defensive tackle. Now, do I think Byron Murphy's better than Brian Thomas Jr.? I'm not sure. Different, I have no idea, but I think it's going to come down to these 2 players. But look, you're a defensive-minded coach. Yeah, Von Miller didn't really pan out. You lost some defensive tackles in free agency. I'm going to go with the guy who's been compared to Ed Oliver in most comps. I'm going to go Byron Murphy Jr. as the pick, and Brian Thomas Jr. stays on the board. Anthony Weaver is the new Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator. They got him over from the Ravens. He's an old school defensive line coach. Look, you need help at tackle. Jazar Newton, people have been calling him Johnny Newton, whatever. I like him in Miami. I think you're going to see some more even fronts than odd fronts, and that's just the way I think this defense is going. I think Newton has to be the pick here if you're the Miami Dolphins. Brian Thomas Jr. has no business free-falling all the way to 30. He has no business being on the board at pick number 30. None. The Baltimore Ravens get a steal. They draft Brian Thomas Jr., and they love it. Cooper DeJean, I'm going to go here. If you want to go interior offensive line, by the way, these 5 guys, these first 5, and I'm not sure about Mason McCormick, these 5 guys will probably be day 1 starters. Spoiler alert, a lot of people think that Blake Fisher, who started his career as left tackle, he got hurt. Joel ended up taking over, played right tackle. A lot of people think he's a guard. He's number 74 on this board. If you think he's a guard, then he may go higher than you may think. But I'm going to go Cooper DeJean personally. Baltimore gets Brian Thomas Jr. all the way at 30. It shouldn't happen. It really shouldn't happen. It really shouldn't. But that's just what I have. I'm going to go Cooper DeJean here. I don't know if he plays corner. I don't know if he plays safety. But you fired your defensive coordinator. There's a reason for that. According to this, he would be the best player on the board. If you think Kool-Aid McKinstry's better, you go ahead and you take him. I'm going to take Cooper DeJean. And I've been mocking the same guy to Kansas City, Patrick Paul. Like I said, in this, he's 70. I think he's much higher. There's a chance Kansas City actually makes a move and trades up for him. But in this mock draft, you get Patrick Paul at pick number 32. In order to do the Washington trade with Chicago, I had to do a 2-round mock draft. I'm going to zip through this really fast, but I'm going to do all of round 2 for you as an additional bonus. Then I'm going to come back and go over my first round in a little more detail. So bear with me. I'm going to do this pretty quickly. Carolina's biggest need, You can go receiver. They have nobody can get after the pass rusher. Chop Robinson doesn't belong in the second round. Boom, you take him quickly. Amarius Mims goes to New England. They like Trent Brown. They tried some different things. Can you take him in the first round? No, you can't. Can you take him in the second round? Absolutely. By the way, if Amarius Mims works out at left tackle, you hit a home run. If you do this, I still think you need to take a tackle, but do I think the Patriots can roll the dice with Amarius Mims at 34? Absolutely. Here you go. This is a pick. I don't agree with this at all. Braylon Trice has been mentioned in the first round. He dropped 20 pounds for the combine so he could run a faster 40. He ran a 4.72. I think teams are going to be more impressed that the guy tried to lose 20 pounds. If you look at his tape, first round pick, I like him better than most. He's back up to like 260, 268. He can rush the passer, ignore the 4.72 at the combine. This guy's a day one talent. Cardinals get him at 35. What did I say? You go ahead, go after offensive lineman Christian Hayes, 4-year starter at UConn. Just a hunch. They like him. Just a hunch. You can go a couple different directions here if you're the Chargers. I could go Chris Jenkins, but I'm just gonna have some fun here. I'm gonna go with kind of a dark horse here and go with Mike Sanstra. He's been rising up draft boards. He can play inside, outside. You have a hole at corner. By the way, if you think Chris Jenkins is the better rated prospect, because I think the Chargers are going to run more even fronts. I think they're going to be a little more multifaceted defense. But look, you need help in the secondary. I'm going to go with Mike Sandstro. He's your call here, but I do fully expect a Wolverine to go here. By the way, Roman Wilson on this board is 54. I would not be surprised if they tried to trade up and try to get Roman Wilson, but in this mock draft, I'm going to go with Sandstro right here. I've been playing around with different guys, but you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to go Chris Jenkins instead. You can do a variety of different things here if you're the Tennessee Titans, but I'm going to go Marshawn Nealon here. You go opposite of I'm just drawing a big blank here. I'm just drawing a big blank. By the way, you can go Darius Robinson if you like, but I'm going to go Marshawn Nealon here. Harold Landry, go opposite Harold Landry. Have some fun on the defensive side of the ball. Carolina can do a variety of different things here. I can go edge receiver here, but look, Adonai Mitchell is available. You need a number one. Boom, there you go. Go back here. You can do a variety of different things here at 40, but here's the drill. You lost Eddie Jordan in free agency. Tyler Nubin's available. He's universally considered the best safety in this draft. I think that's the pick. You go here. Probably starts day one. I'm going with a dark horse here at corner. Max Melton's been rising up draft boards. They need help at corner. This is a guy, ignore 61. This is a much better player. I love this mock draft simulator. I love that it's free. I don't agree with a lot of these. Max Melton, I got as my pick here. Day one starter. Braden Fisk does not belong in a round. This fits like a hand in the glove. Just fits like a hand in the glove. Kool-Aid McKinstry, double dip on. You need a guy opposite AJ Terrell. Doesn't belong at 43. Go ahead and you get a steal here. What did I say? You need help at tackle. You get a good one here. You get Kingsley Sayamatea. By the way, it's just who. Why? It's partly because of injury, and there's some talk about him, but it happens every year. It happens every single year. There's players that fall, so it ends up being Atlanta gets a gift. But yeah. Kingsley Sayamatea is the pick. Day one starter at right tackle. Double dip here. Go with Cooper Beebe, the massive guard out of K-State. You want to be more physical, run-dominated team. By the way, they don't pick again till 150, so they're going to have to use some late-round picks for some defensive help. But here you get two offensive linemen that start. You're changing your style. You're moving on from longtime offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael. you're going to be a more physical smash mouth team. Take the massive guard out of K-State here if you're if you're the Saints. I'm going to do a quick two-step here with Indianapolis and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, as you remember, lost Deontay Johnson in a trade. They go ahead and grab Ladd McConkey instead. Darius Robinson should not be free-falling this much in the draft. Remember, they lost Leonard Williams in a trade last year to the Seahawks. You get his replacement. And by the way, this guy will help day one. He may not start, but he'll help day one. If you think Xavier Worthy is anything like Deshaun Jackson, who Doug Peterson played with and coached, you go ahead and you take him. Ends up being a win. I'm going with kind of the dark horse here. I'm going to go Jordan Morgan. I know you don't need a tackle. I already said that. A lot of people think he could go in the first round. Worst case scenario, he's depth. I know it's a little crazy, but look, you get your starter here. By the way, if you feel like any one of these guys is better, you do it. But look, you can play hardball. You get a swing tackle. I think you go ahead and you grab Jordan Morgan here. By the way, if you like Enos Rankstraw better, you can go ahead and you can do that. I'm going to go with another dark horse here. I already mentioned Nate Wiggins. You know what? Javon Ballard, ignore 58, undersized, had a great combine. Apparently, I heard this from multiple people that he interviewed better than anybody. It was one of the top 5 interviews of all time. One of the smartest players in the room. You have some help at safety. I know you brought back CJ. Just a hunch. You like Georgia players, go ahead and grab them at 50. This is kind of a... So here's the deal. Remember they had... drawn a complete blank on the guy's name. The linebacker who was like all world. Then he got hurt and his replacement played just as good. Look, they got small, athletic, undersized linebackers. I think you roll the dice here on Peyton Wilson. You don't really need it, but if this pans out, this is the guy. This is a 3-down linebacker. This was the best off-ball linebacker in college football. Had like 130 tackles. He had 6 sacks, 4 interceptions, 2 pick sixes. All you have to do is stay healthy. You could have a star here, and if you're the Colts, you kind of roll the dice late in the draft. By the way, the only thing preventing him from being a superstar is if he stays healthy. You know what? Don't even start him. Let him see what he can do. You could strike gold right here if you're the Colts. You need help at corners. A lot of people think he's a first-round pick. I toyed around with going Sandstrill. You could do a variety. Actually, no, I'm going to go Sandstrill. Change my mind. I'm going to go Sandstrill here. Still one of the hardball guys. Come back. I like Kieran. I cannot pronounce his name. Starting right tackle in 2026. Plenty of upside. If you like Fisher's upside better, go ahead and go there. I personally think that this is going to be the guy. I really do. I've been mocking the same thing to the Browns, and it's a dark horse. And again, ignore this. Kalen Bullock. They signed Juan Thornhill from Kansas City. He missed a bunch of time last year. He's not bad. You already have Grant Dolphin as your strong safety. Kalen Bullock's a ball hawk. A lot of people think he can play corner. I just got a feeling, ignore this 90. I just got a feeling they're going to like him. I would not be surprised if they substitute him in and out, but by the end of the year, he'll beat out Juan Thornhill as the starting free safety. This guy's a good player, and it's a good fit. I've been mocking Keon Coleman here. You got the speed demons. Now get the big guy on the inside. Have some fun here. Dallas could do 101 different things here. I've been kind of playing around. There was a guy that, I'm sorry, I almost forgot. I firmly think that Dallas is going to find a running back via free agency. Ezekiel Elliott's been rumored to come back. Trey Benson on this offense, I think, would be a Pro Bowler. Jonathan Brooks is coming off an ACL injury. O-line for Dallas. I think you got one. Now keep in mind, if you like Fisher, you could do that. If you like one of these guys, by the way, Cedric Van Pran would be a great fit. But look, you don't have a running back. Your starting running back doesn't exist right now. Trey Benson, plug and play, Pro Bowler. So I'm going Enos Rakestraw in this mock draft. 3 falls. You have a whole corner. TJ Tampa, the big corner out of Iowa State. I really like this guy. I think Lovie Smith likes him. He likes the thing with big physical corners. There you go, TJ Tampa. This is originally going to be where I had Sandstrill going. You could go offensive line here, but I think at 81 you can get one of these guys here. Enos Rakestraw or Carmi Lassiter. It depends on which one you like better. Andrew Phillips is another guy. Rakestraw. Keep in mind, Rakestraw, I only am taking Rakestraw here because I think he can play inside outside. It's kind of your flavor here. But that's just my opinion. By the way, Sandstrill, I originally had going to 58, but I switched it up here. So I had some fun. I'm going with another dark horse here. Carmi Lassiter, if you like him. Or you can go Kyrie Jackson. I was actually thinking Kyrie Jackson, but Lassiter should be long. Look, they can go in a couple different directions. I was actually tempted for them to go in Armunu or Mason Smith here. Both those guys would make a lot of sense, but I like Lassiter. Just keep adding that secondary. Look, the AFC, you're going with a bunch of really good quarterbacks. Get some help for the secondary. By the way, it wouldn't surprise me if you go receiver because there's a lot of really good guys here. But this is just kind of a guess here, but I'm going to go Carmi Lassiter right here. I've been mocking the same thing. There's no way Xavier Legette should be around. Go ahead and grab him now. I've been playing around here because I could see Kyrie Jackson being a guy, tons of upside, tons of potential. But I also think Cedric Van Pran could also be the guy. But I'm going to go in a completely different direction here. I'm going to go with I was toying around with Roman Wilson. Let's do it. Roman Wilson. Trek Reviewer. I'm almost finished with the second round. I'm going to go over my first round. Trek Reviewer. I'd love to hear your opinion. Man, I'm glad to see you. Don't forget, I will be live for the draft, the entire first round here. Big Chief Sean, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just almost at Kansas City here. This works out perfectly. Chris Braswell, Alabama player, backed up 2 top 10 picks. Go ahead and you grab them. That's kind of a no-brainer here. Here's where I go offensive line. I really like Cedric Van Pran quite a bit. If you can go either one, wouldn't surprise me when starting job day one. Kansas City, I really struggled here because a lot of people think it's going to be receiver. You can go defensive back here. You can go tight end, but I have a hard time going with it. This is another guy, but I'm going with the complete dark horse here. I'm going to go Rook Arura. Last time the Chiefs got somebody from night. Oh, man, I messed up. I messed up, and I did a 7-round mock draft. Oh, boy. They will go offensive line over wide receiver. They could. I messed up. I thought I did just 2. I thought I did just 2. I thought I did 2. I did 7. I'm really, really sorry. All right, so I messed up, guys. I'm sorry. This is what happens when you go live. Sometimes you make mistakes. And I'm going to zip through this super fast. Marvin Harrison Jr. Boom. We're going to do a trade. Chargers. Vikings. By the way, this is a minimum. Live YouTube mess up here. Carthy. Boom. Neighbors. Alt. Turner. The surprise trade of the draft is the Bengals jumping up here. The Bengals will give up, let's see here. Yep. Not taking Oduzze. They're going to go Brock Bowers. Jets will go ahead and go Oduzze. Chargers here surprise everybody. They're going to take J.C. Latham. Denver will take Bo Nix. Raiders will go ahead and trade with the Rams. Little two-step. And the Rams are going to give a first and a third. Latu goes to the Rams. Love this. Pick number 14. I got Fatanu, kind of a dark horse here for the Saints. But as you see here, I got them double dipping with offensive lineman. Quinion Mitchell, I have as my number 1. Depends on who you like. Tyler Guyton's going to go here instead. Seattle's going to be more than happy to trade down with Green Bay. Green Bay is going to give a first and a second, 58. And Tyler Guyton, who's just been skyrocketing up draft boards here, will be the pick. Jacksonville at 17, be more than happy to get Terrion Arnold. Another double dip in the trade. Washington will come back. They'll get the local kid. Give up 2 first-round draft picks here. Local kids available, no brainer. Guy gets your left tackle on this draft. Raiders go ahead and get the quarterback first. Offensive lineman been knocking the same thing to the Steelers. A little two-step here, Miami and Detroit. If you're wondering why I'm zipping through this, I messed up. I thought I had 2, but I hit 3. I'm going to go over my first round in a lot more detail, so I apologize. I'm going to zip through this really fast. Then I'm going to go back into my first round picks in a little more detail. Lions trade up. They go ahead and grab Verse. Been mocking the same thing with Philly, Nate Wiggins. Chargers go ahead and reach for their guy, Junior Wilson. Dallas, I passing on Barton, taking Zach Frazier. Seattle here, I think they need a linebacker, day 1 starter, Edgerrin Cooper. By the way, if they think will be available later in the second, I think Cooper's rated a little higher than some. So a lot of Lions fans want Verse. I don't think Holmes will take him. I got a feeling the Lions are going O-line. They could. Perry, they could. You never know what the Lions are going to do. I just think that they are going to move up. And I love Verse for the Lions. I think he's a Lions type guy. Fuega is my pick, but if you go Bartram, I wouldn't be mad here. It's just I got Fuega, higher rated player. Maybe he can play inside, maybe outside. You have a hole somewhere, so yeah, it depends on what you look at. Just a hunch, fix the offensive line first, and then use the rest of the draft on defense. Byron Murphy over Byron Thomas. Just a hunch, a defensive line coach from the Ravens taking over as new defensive coordinator, give him a toy. Baltimore here has no business taking Brian Thomas Jr. at 30. They just luck out. Cooper DeJean, Patrick Paul. Now we have some fun here. Could you go receiver? Yeah, but you don't have nobody to go after the quarterback. Chop Robinson shouldn't be available. He's not going to last. So take Chop Robinson here. I personally think Mims to New England in the second round makes a lot of sense. You can go in a variety of different ways. I really like Braylon Trice. He's not 68 here, so that's who I got Arizona taking. Look, you need help on the offensive line here. Christian Hayes, 4-year starter at UConn, really, really good player. Grab him here. I think you're going to take a Wolverine. I'm going to go Sandstrill here, but you can do defensive line. You can use Sandstrill. Sandstrill, there's some mock drafts where he's going late first, so that's why I'm going to put him here. You have Harold Landry on one side. So you have Harold Landry on one side. I really like Nealon on the other. There's some other directions that you can go, but Nealon's a guy a lot of people think could go in the first round. This is a guy who would start day 1, by the way. Opposite Harold Landry, your front seven, very formidable. Adonai Mitchell's too good to pass up here. I think the Bears can go safety. Remember Eddie Jackson. They released Eddie Jackson, replaced him with a cheaper version right there. Good move for them. Kool-Aid McKinstry may be the guy, but God, do I really want to pass up Kool-Aid McKinstry? God, that's a tough one. Let's go Kool-Aid McKinstry to the Packers. Braden Fisk, too good to ignore right here. Absolutely love this guy. I'm going to switch it up here. I am going to go corner here, but it's going to be Carmi Lassiter. I know he didn't run a good 40 time, but by the way, it's whoever you have. Max Melton's a guy I'm very high on, but Carmi Lassiter is going to be the pick here for. I'm switching up my round 2 because I'm not sold on it. Round 1 I like perfectly. Kingsley Sam Matea is going to be the pick here. Go ahead, Cooper Beebe is going to be the pick here. Colts, you can get a little creative, but I do like a little 2-step here with the Steelers. I've been mocking that because I think Pittsburgh could easily trade up for a receiver. Ladd McConkey makes a lot of sense. Giants, Darius Robinson makes a lot of sense. Really love Xavier Worthy. Reminds me of the Deshaun Jackson. Jordan Morgan, kind of a luxury pick. Look, getting too many offensive linemen is better than not enough. You could also maybe move him inside. He's been adamant he wants to play left tackle. Maybe he becomes a starter. You never know. Philly, I'm going to go ahead and go with Max Melton. No. 2 corners. No. Well, let's go Jevon Ballard. Colts come back here. Again, Peyton Wilson, too good to pass up. Rams can do a variety of different things here. I'm actually here. I'm going to go Max Melton instead. Just a hunch they like him better. Go back here. Cleveland, I've been mocking Kalen Bullock. Ignore 90. He's a second-round player. Miami can do a variety of different things, but I really like Keon Coleman right here. Dallas could do 101 different things here, but I really think that they need a running back. Trey Benson's going to be the guy. You could go Anis Ragshaw here. Just a hunch that they've always liked bigger, more physical corners. So TJ Tampa over Ragshaw, who they may have ranked higher. Ragshaw, who I think can play inside, outside. And they got Devin Witherspoon. The other corner, I'm drawing a blank on him. The 5th-round draft pick who went to the Pro Bowl as a rookie, did not have a good year last year. Ragshaw's physical, tough, mean. You could also go potentially with Mason Smith. I know it's 84. A lot of people think he could go in the 1st round. I originally mocked Tavondre Sweat, but the DUIs got me convinced that you'll go front 7, back 7. But you can go in 100. You can possibly also, if you're Seattle, go offensive line. Matter of fact, Cedric Van Pran would not be a bad pick right here. But you're a defensive-minded coach, so I'm going to have you go in defense first. I'm going to go with a dark horse here. This is the guy I've been wanting. Kaveri Jackson, former Alabama player, 6'4", 200-pound corner, massive upside. Roll the dice here if you're the Houston Texans. Xavier Legette's going to be my guy here. I got a feeling that you're going to go Roman Wilson here, just a hunch. Baltimore takes an Alabama player. San Francisco here, Cedric Van Pran. He ends up being a starting spot. Kansas City could do 101 different things here. I've been kind of debating, but I really like this guy. He's from Nigeria. He's athletic. I think he just helps on the defensive end, defensive front. Keep in mind, I am very, very high on Troy Franklin and also like Ricky Pearsall. Jonathan Brooks, comp to Jamal Charles. That's not a bad thing. But this guy has upside and he has length. That is my 1st-round mock draft. I am going to go ahead and copy and paste this. That way you can take a look at it at your convenience. There you go. Take a look. Now, let's go over this in a little more detail. Okay. Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, 1 and 2. I really think the draft starts, but I'm sorry for all these commercials. Why the hell do I have a Little John? Can I get rid of this? All right. The draft really starts at 3. I could see Minnesota trying to get the 3. I think that they're going to offer a minimum of 3 number ones. I've been going back and forth if New England takes the trade. The reason why in this final first round mock draft, ignore round 2. That was more for fun, but you kind of got an idea from what my thought process is. May can do everything McCarthy can do, but McCarthy can't do things May can do. And I tried to argue McCarthy to New England, but why go down in the quarterback position? I mean, you already moved on from the greatest quarterback of all time. Why try to downgrade? Mac Wilson didn't have all the elite tools, but you thought he had the mental makeup. I personally, I can't prove this, but I think Mac Wilson, after he had some success, I think his head just got too big. I don't know if that's true. That's just my opinion. I think his head just got too big. May's brothers, one of them plays I think one of them plays European or something basketball. One of them plays baseball. You have some options. I think mentally he'll be fine. Plus, they also got Jacoby Brissett, who will come in, and I think he'll really keep them grounded. So I go back and forth all the time, but if I'm New England, I pick again at 34. I can get my tackle. There's going to be a receiver in the 3rd round. I remember we just went through a 2-round mock draft. Troy Franklin's still going to be available. Troy Franklin would be a great addition in round 3. And that's all you need. And I think you need in this order. I think you need quarterback, left tackle, and receiver. And in this mock draft, 1, 2, and 3, you get them. You get 1, 2, and 3. You probably get 3 day 1 starters. Keep in mind, you roll the dice with Mims. If it works out, you get a top 5 left tackle. But don't take them in round 1. Again, I've gone back and forth, but if I'm New England, I think New England, everything's said and done, I think they take May. But that's going to be the draft. And I'll be honest with you, Washington may take up the entire clock. Chicago may take up the entire clock, but they're going Williams and Daniels. The draft will really start with the 3rd pick. And when the 3rd pick comes around, in my final mock draft, I got Drake May, but you can do 101 different things. Again, Arizona, they need a wide receiver more than anybody in this draft, whoever's their number 1 guy. I personally believe that they're going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. Somewhere between 3 and 5, Minnesota will trade up. I personally think that if I was the Minnesota Vikings, I would stay at 11. I would take Michael Penix Jr. That's what I would do. But they didn't make the move up to 23 to stay put. They made this move to trade up somewhere in the top 5. New England, Arizona, or the Chargers will trade down. I think the Chargers want to trade down because they really need to change their entire roster. Okay? They need to change their entire roster. They need to add players who are winners. They need to add players who are physical, and they do that. Giants' best available receiver, I think they go with Neighbors. Tennessee, I could easily see them trading, as you see here in this draft, Roma Duze. It wouldn't surprise me if Tennessee and the Jets make a little 2-step right here. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Tennessee doesn't have a 3rd-round pick this year. They don't have a 3rd-round pick next year for the Jarius Sneed trade. They have a hole at left tackle, though. I'm pretty sure that if I'm the Tennessee Titans, I'd probably just stay put and get my guy at 7. I'm on the fence about it, though, to be honest with you. Leate Latu could go 8. He could, but you don't have an injury concern with Dallas Turner. He's every bit of prospect Will Anderson is, but unlike Will Anderson, who switched positions from outside linebacker to defensive end, Dallas Turner just plays outside linebacker. So I kind of like that. Ace the combine. All reports are that A-plus worker. Look, Alabama defensive players have done really well. I don't think you overthink it. Brock Bowers at 9. I've only mocked this here this time. And every single mock draft I've done, I've had Brock Bowers falling. I think Cincinnati is done. It's been, look, the last 3 years, they've had 3 different tight ends. I think that they just really want a weapon. It's economical. Plus, it allows you to play hardball with Chase and Wiggins. By the way, it wouldn't surprise me if T. Wiggins is moved draft day, but here's the deal. This receiver class is so deep. Why would you want to spend a lot of money on a receiver when you can find a cheaper, maybe better option? Depends on how well you look at T. Higgins, but I personally think that if I am Cincinnati, I make the move. I get Bowers. I have trade capital. I can do some other stuff. Roma Duze to the Jets just seems unfair. I've never mocked this in any other mock draft. I really think that they need a tackle. They don't have a second round pick. If you make this move, though, the weapons that you have is just crazy. The guy who really benefits from this is Breece Hall, because you can't. By the way, Roma Duze signs, you cannot take Breece Hall high enough in fantasy football. Put him down for 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns in fantasy football. He may lead the NFL in rushing, because if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I line up 3 wide receivers and a tight end. What are you going to do? You really going to put 7 in the box? Are you really going to do that against Aaron Rodgers? No, you're not. So Breece Hall, big year. Big winner right there, Breece Hall. J.C. Latham, like I said, go watch the national championship game against Alabama. And J.C. Latham looked awesome. You need you need help at right tackle. You need big, physical, well-coached guys. Barry, you're 100% correct on both accounts. And I've mocked both those guys. Actually, I've never mocked Bowers to the Jets, but you're 100% correct. But Roma Duze is my number 1 wide receiver. There's a lot of people who think he's the number 1 wide receiver. He goes to the Jets, he will be the Jets' number 1 wide receiver sooner or later, barring injury. By the way, Mike Williams injury prone. Garrett Wilson is the number 1 wide receiver in his own right. He was the 10th overall pick a couple years ago. He's not in Oduze's class. He's just not. Nothing against him. He's a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. I love this guy. I think Oduze could be better. I really do. Keaton Talk Sports says, I agree with the Chargers trading back. Harbaugh likes to build his way, and that's through the trenches. Exactly. And I also think it's important that he's not only going to build his way through the trenches. I normally don't say this, but it's very important that Harbaugh get players that are big, physical, winning programs, well coached. The B in the Backtalk brothers. The great one. The talent. Gooch. No, but I actually messed up, and I had the wrong time down. I messed up. I put the Central Time instead of Pacific Time, so that's an error on my part. Thursday at noon. Is the draft at noon? You know what? I'm embarrassed. I thought it was at 7. I mean, I will actually look this up. I've been working so much that I haven't even bothered to look, and I should. But Harbaugh's a winner, and he can make players winners. I agree with all that, Perry. But the thing is that I want to point out is that I think he wants to bring in guys from winning programs. I really believe this. I think that he wants to bring in guys that are I think he wants to bring in guys that are from winning programs, guys that know already how to win. He really wants to change the attitude of this show. He really wants to change the attitude of this team ever since. So this is noon. I was positive it was not noon, but you know what? I have not gone through. And let me see here. Let's see here. So I have all sorts of specials, but no, it's not noon. It's not noon. It's 5 my time, 7 your time. I'm going to be on about 15 minutes early. Yeah, I am. All right. Yeah. I had to double check that. So no harm, no foul, Gooch. We will be ready. Actually, to tell you the truth, I am going to reach out to you tonight. Yeah, we're going to coordinate this. So I'm going to get that. I'm going to get it ironed out. I'll be ironed out. Yeah, I want to go over a few things, but I'm excited. I am so geeked out about this, but because this is monetized. I want to make sure that we go over a few details before we go live. So according to YouTube, nobody's watching. Is that right? Jeez. All right, let me finish this up. I mentioned this before. No, actually, I do want you to be a Gooch. That's the reason why I invited you, because I love your input, I love your enthusiasm, and I love your love for the game. But I'll give you a call after the show. I'll give you a text, actually. If you're Denver, I think you got to pick your guy at 12. If you're the Raiders, you can trade back. The Raiders have holes. Denver has holes. This is one of those things where picking earlier really hurts you. So Bo Nix, you got to move. The Rams are a very creative team. I think that they're going to move up. I think they're going to move down. It wouldn't surprise me if the Rams even trade for a player, just use the 19th overall pick and get a player. I don't know who that would be, but you can get very, very creative if you're the Rams. I think they just do a little two-step. They give up a third-round pick and jump up to 13 and get a guy who people are saying may be the best defensive player in the draft. There's a medical issue. There is a medical issue, but a lot of people feel like that can be cleared. So you're good to go. The Saints at 14 are I'm just convinced that they're going to take a tackle. I just don't know who. I have no idea who. I like Fatanuk. I think he can be a day one starter at left tackle. I think he can be a day one starter at guard. What you think about Trevor Penning? He could be moved draft day. I don't know. I would really look at a team like Kansas City and see if you can make a deal for Trevor Penning, because Kansas City may be willing to give you a fourth or a fifth. Keep in mind, fifth would be kind of funny because the Saints already have 4 fifth-round draft picks. But if Penning is a guy you just want to move on from, you have a new offensive coordinator. For those of you who don't know, Trevor Penning was the 16th pick overall. Came into training camp, started fights. Then he got benched. but they lost one of their offensive line, one of their starters in free agency. Another one, Andrews Pete, may not be able to play this year, at least not right away. So you do want to move on from Penning. I don't know if you want to do that, but a guy like Fatano, you could start at guard or at left tackle. But don't be surprised if you see Penning move draft day. By the way, Kansas City would be a great trade spot because Kansas City, instead of using pick 32, like I said, on a left tackle, you can go ahead and you can address another issue, or you can even trade out around one. You can do a lot of different things if you're Kansas City, but don't be surprised. Trevor Penning in Kansas City would make a lot of sense. Same thing with Washington and New England, teams that needed a day one starter at left tackle. The Colts here at 15. I've been mocking the same thing. Green Bay, I just got a feeling that they just felt like, I heard that they were just like floored with Tyler Guyton and how well he did during the visit. I would not be surprised 5 years from now, this is the best left tackle in the draft, maybe the best left tackle in football. The upside is crazy. The talent's amazing. I know he played right side, but he could easily be the left. By the way, if you think Fasanu is better, go ahead and take him. But that's just what I see. Jags at 17, I think need to take a corner. If they like Wiggins better, you take Wiggins. But Terrion Arnold, when mock drafts first came out, a lot of people had him going top 10. Started his career at Alabama at safety. Jacksonville as a whole at safety as well, but I would rather attack safety later down the line. But if you draft Terrion Arnold and he struggles at corner, play him at safety. He's young, he's athletic. I think you got to take him if you're Jacksonville. So Gooch gets lots of love. Gooch is stud. Look, if Fasanu falls, Washington's got to take him. I did several mock drafts where Washington gives up a lot to move up to 9 with Chicago. I definitely think Washington could trade back into the first round. They do have a hole at safety as well, but look, Dan Quinn's just brought in a bunch of defensive players. The only hole that this team really has is that left tackle. You have two second-round picks. You have a team in Chicago that needs help on the offensive line, but more in the interior than the exterior. Makes a lot of sense. The Raiders have the luxury to trade down a few spots. Could you go right tackle and then roll the dice that Penix is going to be available in the second round? Definitely. So I looked it up on DraftKings, Perry, and I'll double check, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to go on a little early before the draft starts. DraftKings has an over-under of offensive tackles in the first round, and I believe it was 9.5. Or is 9.5 or 8.5? I'll double check before I go on. I almost took the under because I think I got 8 or 9, but I think the number was 9.5. But yeah, there's going to be a run on offensive tackles. I think we're going to see a minimum of 8 going round 1. But this is a great draft if you need an offensive tackle. Kansas City doesn't have a starting left tackle. New England doesn't have a starting left tackle. Washington doesn't have a starting left tackle. Tennessee doesn't have a starting left tackle. The Saints, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But yeah, absolutely. So. And by the way, Fuego, a lot of people think this is a first round pick. I'm sorry, a top 10 pick. If you Google, and I've done this, Google top 10 offensive linemen in a draft, every list is going to be completely different. I've seen one where Fuega is 2. I've seen one where Fuega is 10. Most of them have Alt at 1. I've seen a few where Alt's 3. It's all over the board. It's kind of funny because I watch it. I wish I could find it. There is a video where they interviewed all these head coaches, And everyone said, the question was, what's the number one characteristic you want in a starting left tackle? Every single coach gave a completely different answer. So every single NFL team is going to have all these tackles ranked differently. To guess which one's going to go where is a complete crapshoot. Like I have Jordan Morgan falling. Some people have him as a top 20 pick and a starting left tackle. So Washington trade up to 20. Washington could do that. Washington could trade up to 29 and get a left tackle. I just think Chicago is willing to wheel and deal in this draft because they only have 4 draft picks. One's going to be gone at 1. So you have 3 draft picks the rest of the draft. You got a hole at safety. You got 1 or 2 holes on the offensive line. You also have a hole at edge rusher. I think I got all 4 of those in the draft though in the first 2 rounds if I did my trades right. By the way, round 2, I've gone all over the place with round 2. I would like to do more 2-3 round mock drafts. I'm hoping next year the situation will be completely different. The move was tough. More Patrick Paul's rising up the board, Morgan's rising up the board, Kingsley's rising up the board. There's a lot of offensive linemen. I got Mims falling, and then I got Fuega falling. It's going to be fun because you have to realize there's going to be like I got J.C. Latham going to the Chargers at 11 because I'm looking at Harbaugh going, hey, I watched this guy manhandle my defense. That's who I want. He could also look at maybe Fuega. He could look at Troy Fatanu, who played really, really well in the national championship game as well. It depends. It really depends. Every single NFL team is going to have different ratings for every single one of these guys. I really seriously considered a 32-25 trade with Kansas City because I think Kansas City really wants Paul. In this mock draft, they get him at 32, but he could go much sooner. He can go much sooner. I've been mocking Jackson Powers Johnson to the Steelers every single draft. Day 1 starter, they need one. Could you go in different directions? Sure, but I've just been mocking the same thing over and over and over again. I'm going to continue to mock it. I think the Lions are going to make a move somewhere in this draft. I think they're going to trade up. So, Denver Gator just pop in and say what's up. By the way, no, Denver. That was that's 100% me. I set it up wrong. I set it up wrong, and then I set up the first original mock draft where I went 7 rounds, so I had to redo it, and I messed up. I'm so excited for the draft. It's been a crazy day. Denver Gator, man, I'm just glad to see you, man. I'm glad to see you. I won't go into any details, but I shared something with Denver Gator that I didn't share with anybody else. Because me and Denver Gator built kind of a friendship, so I shared something with him. I'm not ready to tell anybody else yet. But it's coming. I wouldn't be surprised at all, man. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I've been thinking about Kansas City making a move. Miami at 21 is going to trade down. Whether it's with Detroit, Dallas, and they want to jump up 3 spots. Tampa Bay could jump up. Buffalo could jump up. Baltimore could jump up. I mean, there's so many teams. I just picked Detroit because I think that they are definitely wanting to move up because they've done it the last 3 years. 2 years. Yeah, two, right? Yeah. Rumors are we are trading down. I originally believed that because I thought you guys were going to try to stockpile draft picks And but you didn't lose that much in free agency. And when I look at the Detroit Lions, all right, look what you did last year. You got Brian Branch, you got Jack Campbell, but the players that you drafted on the defensive line, except for Aiden Hutchinson, really haven't worked out. Get a stud opposite Aiden Hutchinson. And the reason why I say that is look at the two NFC. Now keep in mind both teams lost to Kansas City. But look at your opponent. Look at the two teams that went to the Super Bowl in the NFC. They had guys on both sides. They had studs all over that defensive line. Philly had studs all over that defensive line the year that they went to the Super Bowl. San Francisco has multiple defensive players. So, Holmes could do anything. But the last couple of years he's traded up, so that's kind of my thought process. I don't think Holmes really has an MO. His MO has been trading up and reaching, and it's honestly worked. So, Nate Wiggins is a guy I really think the Eagles are targeting. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Eagles make a move. It's just they don't have a third round pick. And in my second round pick, they drafted the offensive tackle out of Yale. And you know how much they love Georgia players. Javon Ballard, I think, has a home in Philly. I think whether you take him at 50 or 53. So I really, really like the Eagles taking Wiggins, and they could trade up, but I just don't see them doing it because they don't have the third round pick. And I also think they want to get, I think they really want to keep 50 and 53, just a hunch. Junior Colson is a curveball who a lot of people don't think will go in the first round. I think he's much, much, much more valuable to the. This is awesome. Yes. Do you think Zach Wilson should wear 3? Yes. Please wear 3. By the way, Denver Gator, I talked about this earlier. I can't prove this, but this is just my opinion. I firmly believe that when Denver called Zach Wilson, they said, listen, we're going to draft a quarterback. We don't care if you beat him out, if you look a lot better than he does, if you understand the offense better, you are not going to start unless he breaks his leg. Your job is to come in and make sure the adjustment, being a first-round quarterback, goes smoothly. That's my opinion. Zach Wilson's talented. There's never been a question. Jameis Winston was talented. Why is he backing up? Why is he competing for the backup spot in Cleveland instead of with Denver, where Sean Payton, he started several games. He actually played really well. There's a reason. Zach Wilson is not going to start unless Bo Nix gets injured. And I'm firmly convinced that when they brought him in, they told him that. By the way, being a backup quarterback is a great gig. Jameis Winston may be in the league for another 15 years as a backup quarterback. It's not a bad job. If Thomas Jr. is on the board in the 20s, absolutely. By the way, Brian Thomas Jr. free fall in the 30 is just I don't think Peyton is not high. Well, there's a reason why Jameis Winston was not brought into Denver, and there's a reason why Jameis Winston's riding the bench, because Jameis Winston athletically and arm talent wise is got one of the top 10 arms in the league. He has a 5,000 yard passing season, which is pretty hard to do, but there's a reason why they were like, hey, we don't have a quarterback and we're not interested. So this is a fun move, and I would love to see it. I really would. Now that I look at it, Caleb is in a good situation. All these other quarterbacks, all talent around him now. Keenan Allen is so good. is so good. I remember I'm drawing a blank here. So you have Cole Kmet, who I had a massive man crush on coming out of Notre Dame, and he's still just getting up there. But every year he's getting better, and better. But Tyler Scott, that's all right. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's so earlier today. Cox Cox Communication reported an outage. So I was kind of worried about that. Actually, they reported that the outage would not be ready for another couple hours. So hopefully, can somebody give me a heads up? I think I'm good now. If somebody doesn't mind, give me a heads up. But yeah, I do too. I do too, Perry. I wasn't that high on Jameson Williams coming out. I didn't think Detroit was a good fit, but we'll wait and see. Hopefully I'm unfrozen. Can somebody give me a thumbs up or a notification, anything at all? But I should be good to go now. But if somebody can give me a nod, I'd really appreciate it. All right. I have no idea if I'm good or not, to be honest with you. Bueller. Yeah, I'm so okay. I'm gonna assume I'm good, but somebody give me a heads up. So Tyler Scott early. Okay. So Perry, am I good? Can you give me a heads up? So here's the deal. Tyler Scott. There was talk about him going in the first round, and that he was going to do. All right, thanks, brother. That he was going to be run like a 4.25. He ran a 4.41. But Tyler Scott is the guy with ability. Didn't do hardly anything last year, but he's a guy with ability. DJ Moore is going to be the number one guy. Cole Kmet's a guy I got a major man crush on coming out of Notre Dame. He's going to be really, really good. Okay. He's going to be really, really good. Keenan Allen is going to be awesome. Remember last year they drafted Velvis Jones in the third round, just a return guy. He's another dude. You got DeAndre Sweat. So he's got weapons. He's got weapons. You got to fix some holes in that interior offensive line, and that defense is awesome. The defense is actually awesome. I know you got Kevin Byard. I don't know how old he is, so we'll find out. But yeah, I don't think Caleb Williams will be able to handle. I don't think he's got the head for it. And Chicago's a tough sports town, man. You better grow some thicker skin. Okay. Junior Colson, again, is a reach, but you really got to change that atmosphere. You really got to change the locker room. I think it's very, very important that you get size, get some leadership, get some toughness. These are all things Junior Wilson has in spades. Zach Frazier, I've not ever mocked this before, but I think I think Dallas needs a day one starter. Go with whoever you have as the highest one on the board. Just a hunch, they like Frazier. Look, Seattle, Mike McDonald. Yeah, I don't get it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Chicago should have stuck with Fields. I really do. But let's just say you weren't. I would go May. I would go May. I think Penix is my favorite. Okay. I would go Drake May if I was Chicago. I think the Bears will regret. I'll be honest with you. I think Williams is not going to work, and I think everybody's going to lose their job. I think Ryan Poles, the general manager, is going to get fired. I think the head coach is going to get fired. I think that they're going to try to figure out who can work with Caleb Williams the best. And by the way, if Washington's offense does great, don't be surprised if Cliff Kingsbury ends up being the next head coach of the Chicago Bears in 2025. The Bears will regret taking him because I don't think it's going to work. Adrian Cooper, another reach, but you need a line. They got 2 starters that signed 1-year contracts. I think you got to go with Adrian Cooper here. I don't agree with that. I mean, let me rephrase that. I would have kept Justin Fields and drafted Harrison. I would have done a 2-step with Washington, get whatever, and then I would have taken Harrison at 2. That's what I would have done if I was Chicago. I'd get that Ohio State combination. By the way, Keaton Talk Sports, I don't know if he's still there or not. Keaton Talk Sports said Ohio State would beat the Bears by 20 points. True story. By the way, I was watching this. I think I shared it with Keaton. Ohio State's just crazy loaded this year. By the way, I'm going to do a little more college football during the fall than I have in the past. 26, Talise Fuega. I have not mocked ever going this low. He could start at guard. He could start at right tackle. I think if you draft him, you start him at right tackle. Cody Mock, one of my favorite players in the draft. They drafted him. He was starting left tackle at North Dakota State. They moved him to right guard. He could play all over that line. If you think he's better suited for right tackle, you move Fuega inside. If you need just a center, you would draft Graham Bartram at 27, but I'm not really sure, but I just go Fuega and then I go with Barton. By the way, passing up Chop Robinson is hard, but yeah. Yeah, the Bears traded, they traded a 4th-round pick. So you have Keenan Allen, you have Cole Kmet, you have DJ Moore, and then I drew a blank on the kid's name. I just looked it up and I already forgot. But there was I can't believe I forgot his name. I literally said it 5 minutes ago. This was a guy, Tyler Scott. This was a guy that some people thought could be a 1st-round draft pick when the draft first came out. And by the way, big play speed, big play ability. Ran a 4.41. There was rumors he was going to run like a 4.2 something. Didn't do anything last year, but that's potential. But yeah, Chop Robinson being left out of round 1 it's hard, and I would not be surprised at all if Chop Robinson ends up being pick number 27. It's just the way I look at the Cardinals. Let's use those first 2 picks on offense. You got Kyler Murray. Give him some help. Your defensive-minded coach. Use your 2nd-round pick, your 3 third-round picks, and the pick number 104, which is early 4th round. Use that on defense. Try to get 2 or 3 starters, 2 or 3 role players. Yeah, so here's the drill. I hope they do. But I know Keenan Allen's the type of dude. He got along. By the way, he mentioned when he mentioned that he would stay after with Justin Herbert, and he went public on, "Hey, Phillip Rivers never stayed after." That leads me to believe that Allen has no problem speaking his mind. And if Caleb Williams thinks this shit doesn't stink, and I could easily see Keenan Allen going, "Hey, listen, Justin Herbert was more talented than you and stayed after and threw the ball. Now you're not going to." And you're going to say, "Dan, what makes you think that Williams is not going to do the same work that Justin Herbert did?" I didn't see Justin Herbert crying after losing games. I personally think it's much more likely that Keenan Allen does not get along with Caleb Williams than he does get along. That's just a guess. That's just a guess. But hopefully Moore and Allen can take him under his wings. But I think that Williams is going to go in there, and hopefully he goes in there humble, but I could easily see Williams doing, I can't prove this, but I think part of the reason Mac Jones didn't work out is that his head just got too big. I think Caleb Williams is going to go into Chicago with his head being too big, and he's not going to be prepared for the Chicago media onslaught, the expectations. I'm not saying I can do it because I probably couldn't either. But we'll find out. That would be a great move. That would be a great move. I've drawn up who is the Bears' backup quarterback. Tyson. Right now, it's Tyson Bagent and Brett Rippon. Oh boy, that's a disaster. This would be a great move. I would reach out to him today. I would. Okay. I'll be honest, the Bills, I have no idea what they're going to do in the draft. I really don't. They could move up. They could move down. I've been hearing from a lot of people, they think Byron Murphy, I'm hearing 8 to 18. I saw something on social media earlier today that 8 to 18, a lot of people think he may be the number one defensive player in the draft. I think he's going to fall a little bit. 28's a steal, to be honest with you. If he's as good as people think he could be. By the way, Ed Oliver, who he's been compared to, he went 8th overall. So if this were to work out, this could be a steal. I think it's a great spot. Buffalo could trade up to try to get him potentially, but in this mock, they get lucky. Miami, I am firmly convinced, will trade down. It's just a question of who. They do. They really do. I mean, they need a receiver, which I got them getting in the second round. I think they need a defensive tackle. I think they need another linebacker. I think they need a corner. I think they need a safety. They need a lot. They really do. But I'm hearing a lot of people are very, very high on Byron Murphy. So that's kind of why I like him there at 28 if he's available. But the way this draft is, look at these guys here. Buffalo could choose Cooper DeJean, Brian Thomas Jr., Jazar Newton, Murphy, easily any one of these guys. Easily. Getting a defensive tackle, because I really think that you're going to see more even fronts than you did last year. Less man, but I still expect them to play a lot of man. This is a guy I just think you can do a lot with. I think you move him up and down the defensive line, have some fun. He reminds me a lot of Justin Matabuke, who you coached at Baltimore, or Anthony Weaver coached at Baltimore. In my mock draft, Brian Thomas Jr. just free falls all the way to 30, but oh God, seriously, this would just be a lot of fun. It would be a lot of fun. Keep in mind, I could easily see Evan Neal being traded to Baltimore and Baltimore giving up either receiver or Isaiah Likely, the tight end. So if the Bills get a trade offer for the pick for next year, do you really think I would, seriously. And the reason why I say that is that they may want to, by the way, here's the drill. The Bills don't have a 3rd round pick, but they have a ton of 4th, 5th, and 6th round picks. And I think the Bills are going to be very creative. So one thing is that you can trade and get a 2025 pick, and you can go back and you can use it. Kansas City, for example, they have, I doubt Buffalo would want to trade with Kansas City, but it's happened before. That's how the Chiefs got Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City has 2 3rd-round picks for the L'Jarius Sneed trade for 2025. You could trade 2025 picks. It's happened before. So could the Bills at 28, if they get a pick? By the way, Byron Thomas Jr. is available at 28. Absolutely, Carolina could make a move. Absolutely, Carolina could make a move. And Carolina would love to give a pick next year and still pick at 33 and 39. So the way the mock draft went, you get Cooper DeJean at 31, offensive lineman in the second round. In this mock draft, Bartram, Frazier, and Jackson Powers Johnson are gone. If one of those guys is available, I could easily see them being a pick. There was a guy that was going back and forth with me and Funk who said Cooper DeJean's a lock to be in the first round. He's definitely not a lock, but yeah. I seriously, I've mocked several times the Panthers trading up. In this mock draft, they end up working out. I'm just going to zip through. I've gone back and forth here, but this, by the way, for Carolina, Chop Robinson and Adonai Mitchell, that would be a home run. I think Mims will end up being pick number 34 for the Patriots. I really do. I think the Patriots will roll the dice at 34. And this is only a 2-round draft, but if you take a look, there's a lot of good receivers I left off the board here. There's a lot of really good receivers I left off the board. Troy Franklin, Nakai, something, the kid out of Western Kentucky. He's available. Those two guys, a lot of people have been mocking a lot high. A lot of those, there's a lot of mock drafts where he goes in round 1. So I do think Mims will go 34. Yeah, I like him too. I like him too. And that's why I think San Francisco takes him. Braylon Trice is a guy that I think NFL teams are much higher on than others. I think 35 is too low, even though there's a lot of mock drafts that have him like in the second and third round. He ran a 4.72 at 240 something because he dropped 20 pounds and then he ran a bad 40, but he put the weight back on. Supposedly I think NFL teams love this dude, and don't be surprised if he ends up going late first. 35 would be a great spot. This is why I have the Bears trading down guard and safety. I can almost guarantee you a Wolverine will be the pick here. It's just a question of who. You can flip and I've mocked. You can go wide receiver here. Adonai Mitchell would be a great fit. As a matter of fact, I just look. You're an offensive-minded coach. You got to tackle. They did not get anybody to go opposite Harold Landry. A couple of years ago, Harold Landry went out for the year. So Braswell would be a steal. Yeah, Braswell's a guy I think NFL teams are a lot higher on. He won't go in round 1, but he'll go in the second round. Look, he backed up 2 top 10 picks. He's really, really good. Oh, man, seriously, I've really been lacking sleep the last couple of days. I can't wait for the draft. Tomorrow's a busy day, but then the draft. I am so geeked up. By the way, I'm going to come on early and I'm going to stay late. Denver Gator, I hope you're there. Gooch is going to be with me live. Keaton Talk Sports is doing his own thing, but he said that he may pop in for a little bit. So hopefully everybody can join. It's going to be a great show. I'm going to be on early. I'm going to stay late. I'm going to be jacked up. I'm drinking coffee. Well, actually, I'm done, but I won't need it, but I will be drinking an energy drink or two. I've been mocking consistently Braden Fisk to Houston at 42, and it sucks because I really like Braden Fisk. He should be a first-round pick. I really think that this could work out really well for Braden Fisk. I think he could go to the right spot in the right defense, and I've been mocking this pretty consistently. This could be a steal. Don't be surprised if Fisk ends up getting like 8 to 10 sacks year 1. Don't be surprised. Our tickets for the Raider. No. No. Not even close. No, tickets for Raiders games are crazy high. Even locals, people flying in. So the Allegiant Stadium is not on the Strip, but it's really, really close to the Strip. It's crazy expensive to go to a game. I am not going to go to one this year, but next year I may try to go. I may try to get in for a preseason game just because I want to check it out. I've been to Arrowhead over 300 times. I've never been to opposing stadium. I want to go to Allegiant Stadium. I just have no idea when. I'm not going this year, but next year I may catch a preseason game because I do want to check it out. I do want to. Here's a weird thing about Vegas. If you're a local, you avoid the Strip like the plague. It's a weird thing. Last several mock drafts, I've had Sua Matea going to the Raiders, and this would suck. Cooper Beebe, I've had consistently mocking to the Saints. I think the Saints go guard and tackle. I can see the Cowboys or Ravens being high on Fisk. Dan Quinn may like him as well. I think there's a lot of guys that could be. I think there's a lot of guys that could be. I really don't want to put them in the second round, but the way the mock draft fell, keep in mind if the defensive tackles go sooner, in this situation, I could easily see Miami, if they need a defensive tackle, Miami could grab them at 29, and that would make a lot of sense. In my mock draft, they've just been free falling. I've had the Steelers consistently trading up to get a receiver, whoever they like best. Darius Robinson probably won't go 47. I hated not putting him higher because I originally kept on mocking him to Kansas City. I just couldn't find a place. I've been mocking Xavier Worthy to 48 in a long time. I don't think so, but I'll be honest with you. If they trade back, let's say Kansas City would be a great spot. If they were at 32, maybe. But I really don't think so. I really don't think so. I think that they just wait and they can take whoever they want. I don't think a running back. I'm gonna level with you. I don't think a running back's going to go until right here. I think 56. I really believe that. I've been mocking Kalen Bullock to the Saints, or I'm sorry, to the Browns at 54 pretty consistently. Juan Thornhill's a guy that I always had a bad. Okay, so when Juan Thornhill was drafted, the Chiefs traded up from Cole Hardman, and I didn't like it. But at the time, Tyreek Hill had some legal issues. There was talks about him being kicked out of the league. Yada, yada, yada. DK Metcalf was available, and DK Metcalf was picked 64. Juan Thornhill was picked 63. Is it fair? No, but it happens. Juan Thornhill missed some games. He's okay. Bullock, I think, would supplant him at free safety, and this would just be a steal for the Browns, by the way, because I think Bullock in that division. Keep in mind the AFC North. What are they known for? They're known for smash mouth. Bullock, his weakness is tackling, defending the run. This would be this is a classic center field safety, and a guy I think would just excel with this defense. I've been mocking this pretty consistently. Same with Keon Coleman going to Miami after making some trades. Cowboys need a running back bad. I've been thinking. By the way, it's kind of funny because Cleveland they reworked the contract for Chubb. Jerome Ford looked really good as a replacement. For some reason, they signed Donta Foreman. Why wasn't Donta Foreman signed by Dallas? Don't be surprised if Dallas tries to reach out to Cleveland, maybe make some sort of trade, but Cleveland's stockpiling running backs. So, absolutely. I'm going to tell you something. Dallas doesn't win the Super Bowl. There's a chance McCarthy's gone. There's a chance Dak's gone. There's a chance that they just clean house and just say, hey, look, Dak couldn't do it. McCarthy couldn't do it. what's next. It's going to be it's always fun in Dallas. It's always fun in Dallas. We'll find out. I've also been mocking Xavier Legette pretty consistently to 60, a guy that could go anywhere. Braswell would make a lot of sense. I think Kansas City could do 100 different things here. This is a guy that I really like. He's from Nigeria. He doesn't have a lot of playing experience. He's very, very raw, but very, very, very talented. So let's do this again. Jerry Jones is the problem. Hey, man, you're the owner. You can do what you want. You're the owner. You can do what you want. But I agree. I agree with you, Perry. I really think that when he learns to take a step back, that's when things will work out better for him. So I will have my mock draft. I will have my NFL live stream draft video set up with the right time tonight. It'll be later tonight. I'll be live for all 6 hours. I think it'll be about 6 hours roughly. I'm going to be on about 10 to 15 minutes early. I'm going to stay late, depending on questions, comments, concerns, everything like that. Gooch will be joining me. I've reached out to Big Chief Sean. I've reached out to Keaton Talk Sports. Luke G will be at the draft. He won't be joining. If you want to pop in for a few minutes, I will put the link up. I'll allow it. Just keep in mind, one of the things I have to reach out to Gooch about, just no, you can. By the way, like a content creator I follow, one of his videos got taken down because he was outside and a car drove by with the windows down playing a song, and it got demonetized for that. It was like 2 seconds. So if you come on, music, TV has to be off. That's the only thing I ask. And I'll be pretty strict on it too. If I hear music or TV in the background, I'll just take you off and probably won't let you back on. It's kind of look, no music, no TV. I just put up some blackout curtains behind me. It looks pitch black in there, even though it was bright and sunny outside. So the live stream will be set up in a few minutes. My final mock draft, I have 6 trades in the first round. I thought I had 5 because I forgot to mark the very first one with the Chargers in Minnesota. DraftKings has a promotion. I've gone over them. The only one I like is tackles. I think the number was 9.5 and under was at a plus. I have to double check. I forgot to do it, but yeah. I need KC stickers on it. All right, fair enough. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Social media below. Mock draft, I will have it out tonight in a couple hours. Most of you will be asleep. I'll be live a few minutes before. I'll be around later. As long as you guys want to talk draft. I'm so excited, and I hope you're excited. So with that said, I'm going to end the live stream. Thank you very much for joining in. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And I want to see everybody back here in 2 days. Can't wait for it, man. So I'll see you then. Have a great night, and I'll see you in 48 hours. Just under 48 hours.